It is winter solstice, and it means it's one of my favorite days of the year. Why is winter solstice one of my favorite days in the year? Well, it's the day where it stops becoming more winter, and it's the day we start going more into spring. And I always liked winter solstice because of this reason. When I was in college, I went to college in upstate New York, where the weather gets pretty frigid in the winter. And all I wanted around November, when it started snowing pretty heavily and finals were coming up, all I ever wanted was for the winter to end, right? And since then, winter solstice has always been kind of like the day of hope for me, because from now on, things are just gonna be good, right? Things are gonna at least be better. So, coincidentally, winter solstice also happens to be a very important prayer day in Korean Buddhism, or I think this is in East Asian Buddhism in general. But because of that, I've just visited my local temple and had some, prayers for the, winter solstice as a goodbye to 2024, as a preparing prayers for 2025, and had some red bean soup, which is the traditional Korean food for winter solstice, because red, the color, is kind of like anti-ghost, anti-spirit in Korean folklore, and so we eat it to get the evil ghosts out of our way, and then so that's why we like to eat these types of foods. But this winter solstice, I just wanted to chime in here. It's almost the end of the year, so I guess this is sort of a recap. I'm gonna do a more proper recap video later on. But when I think about this year, I don't know exactly how many people I worked with this year, but I'm not sure if the number is like about 50 like last year, but I'm fairly sure it's close to that number, right? So even this year, I worked with a lot of different new people in life coaching, and many of you interface with me through this YouTube channel. Many of you joined the Discord server, and not only just joined the Discord server, you ask me questions, you get coached, and then you get sort of like a direction out of your life. And some of you actually email me and you sign up for coaching with me, and then I work with you, and then through every week, right? It doesn't seem like much. It just seems like an hour of talking every week about your life. But whether you notice it or not, these conversations, these coaching conversations, they really change the trajectory of your life. And some of you, even while doing that, wanted to take on the practice with me, right? You, even if it's just once, you tried the 108 bows. Even if it's just once, you joined our Discord weekly meditation session and you tried meditation once. And so these things, right? Again, it doesn't seem like much, but it definitely does help. Because why? Not everything that's happening underneath here is noticed by here. And I think that's a really good metaphor for winter solstice, right? When the winter depth becomes deeper, right? And the nights become longer and it gets colder, right? It seems like a bad thing. But why? Because things just keep getting worse. But in order for things to start picking up again, it has to reach a bottom point, right? You learn this in calculus. Take the, double derivative, and then you find the maxima and the minima, and then that's like the change. That's when the concavity changes, right? But in order to do that, you need some amount of depth to go down. But imagine if life was like a sine wave, right? You just have its ups and downs, up and down. That wouldn't really be that impactful, right? Of course, we all like a peaceful life, and it has its place. But this year, I talked to a lot of people struggling. And I think what makes it a little bit more sensitive for me is I talk to a lot of young people who are struggling. And when you're young, right? If you're 30 years old and you have some amount of suffering, if you have the same amount of suffering, let's say you have 10 amount of suffering over 30 years, right? Then if it's spread out, you have enough life experience to be like, oh wait, these things come and go. Oh, it turns out this was temporary. But if you only lived 20 years and you have 10 suffering, that's like half of your life in suffering, right? So it's really difficult to put hope in the future, because based on what you know, half of your life will continue to be suffering. But it's not necessarily like that, right? And today, I want you to put in the hope, not in some God, not in some abstract thing that you can't control. I want you to put hope in you. I want you to rethink your life. I want you to reframe your life. Yes, life has been hard. And it's really reaching a down point. But just like how today is winter solstice, your life, depending on the actions that you do today, even if it doesn't seem like a lot of difference, it can be the initial impulse that you need in order to start that upwards trending graph. And so, happy winter solstice and happy 2024.